Okay, so in our last video, we installed Server 2012 Release 2. We then finally logged on using our password and we went to local server. You can see here that the computer name is a self-generated combination of letters and numbers generated by Server 2012. So one of the first things we need to do is change this. So by clicking on computer name, we're going to rename this computer so that we can reference it in the future. There's the Microsoft computer name that's being allocated. We do not type it in here. This is a description of the computer, for example, web server, Dublin, whatever. We change it by clicking change, and you type in base server in this case. It's going to remain part of a work group, which basically means it is a network computer, but it's a standalone computer. It's a member server. It's a member of the work group called workgroup, which means that it has its own local authentication and authority database. You get a message, you must restart your computer. Click OK, click close. However, don't restart your computer just yet because there's a few more changes we want to make. So restart later. This name will change when we restart. However, there is a refresh button up here. It will refresh all the other settings for you, but not the computer name. Okay. At the moment, our firewall is on. So if we click on private on, we are going to turn our firewalls off. We'll discuss firewalls later on, but for simplicity, we'll turn off our firewalls for both private and public networks. We get a warning, but we can just continue on for now. We will come back and change that. We're also going to allow remote desktop, which means we can access the computer from a Windows box using remote desktop protocol, or RDP. So we're going to change that, and we're going to allow remote connections. And for now, we're going to remove this additional authentication. So just allow remote connections to this computer. If we click select users, you'll see that it mentions that the administrator is already a granted access, and that's the only account we have, so that's fine, and we click that. If we look at our Ethernet, we'll see that our IP address is assigned by DHCP. So now we're going to check our IP address. So if we go down to our Windows logo and right click, we should see a command prompt. We click on command prompt, and in the command prompt we type in ipconfig /all, and in my case you can see that basically the old name is still there because we haven't restarted. It's telling us that I'm connected to home network, and there's the physical MAC address of my device. We have DHCP is turned on, and we have a self-generated linked local IP6 address, which we won't worry about for the moment, but you'll see that my IP address is 10.0.2.15 in my case. My subnet mask is there. The lease was obtained at this date. The lease expires at this date. There's where I'm getting my lease from, my DHCP server, which is also happens to be my default gateway. Again, we'll be going through IP6 addresses and that later on, and you can see that I'm using a public DNS server in the background. Okay, so we know we have that configured, so we should have network access. So we leave the Ethernet as it is for now. We go across to the right hand side, you can see that we've never installed any updates. So we should really configure our Windows updates by clicking on not configured and turning on automatic updates. However, be aware that once you turn on automatic updates, you are going to spend some time getting all these updates coming down. So you might want to do this in the background at some stage. We have one other thing we're going to change, and this is the Internet Explorer Enhanced Security. So if we're using Internet Explorer, it will prompt us for security reasons. Okay, it says the enhanced security configuration reduces the exposure of your server to potential attacks from the web-based content. At the moment, we don't want to use that, so we're turning it off for administrators. We can leave it on for all of the users if we want. And again, the security in that we'll come back to at a later stage. It's just a general information at this stage. We have a message popping up here, install Windows updates automatically using Windows. And you can see that it's still checking away for updates. Our refresh button up here should now tell us that IE Enhanced is off. And if we come across, we should see that remote desktop is enabled and our Windows firewall is off. So the only thing that hasn't changed is the actual name of the computer. So what we're going to do is we are going to go shut down or sign out, and we're going to restart the computer. Continue on that, the computer will start shutting down and start and restart, and when it restarts we'll be prompted for a login as administrator again. After we restart, we are prompted, or we're given our Control-Alt-Delete to sign on. So we're going to go to keyboard, insert Control-Alt-Delete, or use your host key. And under the administrator name, we're going to type in the password we used. And we should be able to log in. And once we're logged in, we should find that we now have license for 180 days, Server 2012 Release 2 Standard Edition. We have our recycle bin, our normal desktop, and our server manager will automatically open up. And when our server manager opens up, we should see that all the settings we did earlier on are all saved, and our computer is now called Base Server. So when server manager opens up, and you can see the blue line going across here as it just refreshed itself, local server, click on local server and it will open up. And we can see, and again this can take a few seconds for it to all load itself up. We can see that it's called Base Server, it's in a workgroup, firewalls are off, remote desktop is on, IP4 address assigned by DHCP. Here we have our option and it says install updates automatically. We have never installed updates yet, so if we wanted to install updates, we can click on this here, and basically you're set to automatically install updates. We can check for updates, and in the background it'll go up and check for updates. As I said, generally do this in the background somewhere when you're not doing something else. We have our IE enhanced off, and you can see that we've got our right time zone, etc., and basically our information about our 200 gig hard drive. Okay, total disk space 199.66 gig, and basically that's our initial configuration of Server 2012. So in the next video we'll look at some additional configuration, adding users, etc., as we go through it.